leadership skills are critical because the problems that we face as people, as nations, as a globe are so critical. Many people talk about a hinge point in history. It feels almost overwhelming. We have these massive problems and yet we seem unable, unwilling to act, whatever. Great leaders are needed who can be innovative, who can work across difficult boundaries, who can really take on the great challenges and inspire as well as solve the hardest problems we all face. So it's about people who want to make the world a better place, who want to advance the public interest. They've got to be smart, they've got to care, they've got to be willing and excited to make a difference. I think one of the things that's most striking about the current set of problems is they cross boundaries. The problems that we see no longer fit neatly into just one set of things, housing or poverty or health even. The problems that we see cross boundaries, first across sectors, business, government, civil society. So think about climate change as an example. This is something that involves the private sector and its production, which often leads to carbon and other kinds of greenhouse gases. But it obviously involves governments trying to figure out a way to regulate, to control, to set a price, to whatever. It involves individuals. It involves civil society. So they cross those sectoral boundaries. And that's true of everything from the financial crisis to immigration to budgets and everything else. The second way in which they cross boundaries is international. There are very few issues now that stop at the water's edge. And so we need a kind of a leader now that can be innovative, that can cross those boundaries. So one set of things is boundaries. The other thing I would just say is it requires a unique set of kind of personal and political skills to navigate the very large range of competing interests, competing capacities, competing ideologies even that you face in dealing with those problems. So we need a leader that has both wisdom and humility to cross those boundaries, but also the skills and strength to handle that. One of the main things the school's been doing is a kind of acting in time initiative, and acting in time is used to connote a kind of problem. Think about Hurricane Katrina. Many people were horrified by the response to it, and I think there were real issues there. But even more problematic in some ways is the fact that everyone knew it would happen. Everyone had that as one of the top 2 or 3 most likely serious catastrophes to happen in the United States, and yet nothing was done to strengthen those levees in any serious way. It's a preventable catastrophe. In so many issues, you can see the problem coming a mile away, and yet for some reason we're unwilling or unable to act. One is these kind of natural disasters. You can't necessarily see the specific disaster, but you know where the vulnerability is. Another can be things as straightforward as pandemics. Think about swine flu recently, avian flu that's been talked about, other kinds of pandemics, even things like malaria. Climate change is a third example of something where, again, this could be a catastrophic impact on the globe, and if we don't act sooner rather than later, we're going to have huge problems. So how do we find the kind of people with the courage and the capacity and the insights to get people and countries and the world to act now and take some costs and hits now in order to solve those longer term problems? That's just a critical part of what it means to be a leader in the world today. Well, you know, prior to the Center of Public Leadership's founding, there was talk about leadership. There were certainly some exciting courses and so forth. But there wasn't this unambiguous focus on leadership. And I think the Center for Public Leadership has both concentrated our energies, but really importantly has engaged students in a way that they were never quite as engaged before. You start with the fact that it has become the home for really critical intellectual ideas, some of which come from the laboratory and some of which come from the case studies of spectacular leaders around the world. But even more importantly, in some respects, it's been the home for the students who want to really care and focus and make a difference. The first thing you got to do to get great leaders is to get them here, to get them involved. And the Center for Public Leadership has been centrally engaged in attracting students from across the country and, frankly, across the university. A lot of joint programs with the business school, with the law school, and other kinds of the ed school or the School of Public Health. Those kinds of strategies mean we can get and train the kinds of leaders that are going to make a difference throughout the world. The other feature about leadership, though, one of the things that makes it so hard to train about is, frankly, every leader has a somewhat different style. There is no one size fits all. And so we have to take the best ideas from research and the best inspirational work of existing leaders and learn from their case studies and help individuals become the right kind of leaders for themselves and when they can be the most effective. Goodness knows it couldn't be a more critical time for leadership. It's such a challenging time in the world, and the Center for Public Leadership has been centrally as a part of it, bringing together the best in ideas with the best people to create, we hope, really spectacular leaders for the future.